Marquez Davis with the $50.
Go ahead. No, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say Marquez Davis with the $50 super chat says, "I love Jay Z, but he is no Biggie. He's a better lyricist. Yes, Big is a better storyteller, voice, cadence, etc. I'm sick of people trying to claim someone is filling Biggie's shoes. There will never be another Big. 2 albums. That's all that was needed. Well, you know what? Since you opened up the door, man, maybe we need to go ahead and get into that.
Kick in the door.
Let's go ahead and get into that. All right. So Biggie's 50th, well, what would have been Biggie's, excuse me, I can't even talk. What would have been Biggie's 50th birthday? We're talking 50 Cent, we're talking 50th birthday, I got mixed up. But anyway, what would have been Biggie's 50th birthday? Title, they got on Clubhouse, invited Jay-Z, Fat Joe, and Diddy to talk about, their experiences with Biggie and basically showing love to Big and all of that. Now, a lot of people took the clip of Diddy saying that Jay-Z filled Biggie and Tupac's shoes when they passed on or were murdered, and people took issue with that. And, we'll get into the Tupac thing because I don't think there's anything that Jay-Z did that, even did anything as far as filling Tupac's shoes. Now, to Jay-Z's credit, he did say it was me and others that filled that void or filled those shoes. And then Diddy jumps in there and says, oh no, you filled those shoes. That's fine. Whatever. People are going to big themselves up. Those are the people that were on the phone. And you got to understand this was a title Clubhouse. So what else are they going to do, right? But my thing was when Diddy said that Biggie looked up to Jay. And even before that part of it, Jay-Z was on the line before Diddy got on, and I listened to the whole Clubhouse because I wanted to make sure that we weren't taking any of these clips out of context that people were posting out there. So Jay-Z got on first, and that's when he told the story about Biggie wanting him to move to Atlanta, and they live in, side-by-side house or whatever. He said this was around 95, 96. And he said, Big was like, yo, come down to Atlanta. We need to move to Atlanta. And Jay was like, Atlanta? It's like, we're the hottest guys in New York City, in the world. In 1995, 96. Now, I don't know, Jay misspoke. Things happen. We get older. Niggas forget shit. But the truth of the matter is, Jay wasn't on that level where they were like some sort of Twin Tower tangent in 95, 96. Biggie was the guy in New York. Nas was the guy in New York. And I pulled up a little bit of data to kind of prove that. That's just not hearsay. And I want to say, like, how we actually equating, being, as Jay quoted and saying, the hottest guys in New York City. Do sales equate that? Because if they do, I got those real quick. Shout out to Reggie with the super chat. He says, can we get an A2HH Goody Mob versus Outkast versus? I think that'd be cool. I think Goody might run out of songs, but I think the stuff in their prime, I would love to take on Goody and you take on Cass, but
the stuff on Soul Food and Still Standing, and you got special stuff floating out there like Decisions on Soul Assassins with Mugs that we've referenced plenty of times. There might be just enough to get to a 20-piece.
Yeah.
Because you also got to think about some of the Outkast and other Dungeon Family stuff they've done too. And Gipp has done some solo stuff and he made some dope records. So
We Serving was hard.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tabernet with the super chat. He says, straight up, Mike, I've been bumping 50 since the stream. Coop don't like bullies. He got emotional with the 50 take. Nas the Goat says, Lil C's also said that Biggie looked up to Jay-Z. Ray Realm says, Lil C's confirmed that Biggie looked up to Jay-Z. Okay.
Can we unpack that?
I want to unpack that because how are we saying that Biggie looked up to Jay? Because I think when you and I talked about it, you were saying it was the business acumen, right?
Yes. Well, see, he was probably looking at himself, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And in 95, 96, it's big and it's Nas as far as the East Coast is concerned. And if we're talking overall, it's like Tupac, Ice Cube, then like Biggie and
Snoop
Nas.
Doggy Dog.
And Snoop is still Snoop is still Snoop. Like the Dogfather did major numbers when it
Yeah.
dropped.
I didn't
Yeah.
even. I'm about to go down these sales, but yeah, I remember seeing the Dogfather sales. They were
Yeah,
astronomical, but
the
I didn't even
Dogfather.
count that. I just stayed in New York.
No, I get it. But if we're just talking like in the full scope of things, it's like Biggie and Nas, at least like sales and notoriety wise, were on the low end of the spectrum in 95, 96. They were just running New York. But we're talking about like 1.5, like 3 million records, you know what I mean, respectively, with Ready to Die and Life After Death. So it's like the notoriety was coming more from New York being the Mecca and the street buzz that was kind of equating to the numbers that they were doing. But Jay really wasn't like Jay wasn't there. Like that. Like he was there. Like in my lifetime it came out by now. Reasonable Doubt, of course, is 96. But when he was making it seem like they were like running it, and when he's talking about looking up to him, well, it's like, well, Biggie's probably seeing like, I'm running New York right now, but here's this guy that's from the same borough that I'm from, and he can run around with me money wise.
Okay, so if he's talking about that Big looked up to Jay, he's not talking about musically. He's talking about something else, right? Okay, so somebody says something in the comment section. I think that you're saying they said looked up to him on a street level / business level, because I know it couldn't have been music or talent wise. Of course not, because at the time we're talking about this man having One More Chance, having Juicy, having Big Papa, having Warning, having Get Money. What does Jay have in comparison? Like, let's be real.
No, but that's what I'm saying. You got to look at how a dude from Brooklyn is looking at it, though. Biggie been putting in work since like 92.
Mm-hmm.
It's 95, 96. He's the biggest rapper on the East Coast. And this guy, Jay, who people are just starting to recognize, can go dollar for dollar with him. Like, they're going out together. He's probably seeing Jay and Jay's people. He's like, man, they're popping Cristal like I am. Like, hold on, like, I'm big. And so what I think you're really saying is that whole... when Biggie, he's probably the one that got big to realize what his contract looked like.
And if that's the case, because Diddy said this, if that's the case, that's an indictment on Diddy, correct?
And that's exactly
and
what I
that
was about to say. So it would be
confirms
funny that it would be coming from that place, because he can't be talking musically or hit-wise.
exactly.
Because Biggie, along with Puff's help, they had that down 94, 95.
Exactly. Yeah. And so
about that.
And to go further with that, if that is the truth, that kind of confirms some of the notions and rumors out there that Big was going to leave, right?
The plan was to do a double and then do a triple. That probably came from Jay to get out of the deal. That's probably why the whole commission thing could have been on hold too.
Exactly.
It could have been for Big to get his freedom and drop the third one and then do the commission out. You know what I mean? I could see all of that.
Ray Reynolds with the super chat. Shout out to you, sir. He says the jarring thing about the Diddy / Jay-Z phone call was Nasir wasn't mentioned a single time. Do you believe he's merely slipped their minds? Well, I will say, and I listened to the whole phone call, Diddy mentioned Nas one time. He was talking about how, because somebody asked about the jump between Ready to Die and Life After Death when it came to Big skill set. And I like the comparison that Puff gave. He was talking about like a ball player going out there and just getting comfortable with themselves and knowing who the fuck they are. And he said on Life After Death, he was like, on the first one, Big knew who he was, but after, he specifically cited the One More Chance remix. He said after that One More Chance remix, he hit stride and really knew who he was. And that's what you're hearing on Life After Death. He said when Nas gets on the mic, he knows who the fuck he is. And he said when Kendrick gets on the mic, he knows who the fuck he is. So he mentioned Nas in that light. Well, Diddy did. Jay never mentioned Nas, but whatever. We're going to get to that as well. So if it's about business acumen and that's why he looked up to Jay, well, again, that's an indictment on his Bad Boy contract. And it also confirms further that if Big would have survived, he was leaving Bad Boy, correct? And he wasn't happy in his bad boy situation, right? If that's what he looked up to Jay for.
Correct. And so when people are talking about imaginary players, and he's Jay's line, your single was 99 cents, mine was $4. Well, if he's talking about Mace, who Mace signed to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You rapping ass niggas, y'all funny to me. Selling records being you, but still you want to be me. I guess for every buck you get, it's like 100 for me. Still walking around like you got something on me.
Right.
Okay.
So Big is seeing the life that Jay is living. Like, he's like, hold on. He's like, this is the dude that only got like one single floating out and got like Ain't No Nickel with Foxy floating around. He running around with me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you going to listen to what somebody, like, because people have to understand too. Jay's older than Big. So when this conversation is happening, Big's like 23, 24. Jay's like 26, 27. Yep. They from the same hood. He's seeing these hustling dollars. Jay and Dame done made together. He got a nigga from uptown with him. He's from Brooklyn. That's not happening in 95, 96 like that.
But the thing is, let's be specific, because when you say things in a blanket way like they did on this phone call, it makes people feel like, people who are younger, who weren't there, it makes them feel like Biggie was looking up to Jay musically. And that's clearly not what it was. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, and I think the other part of that, like I said, when Jay said, we were the hottest guys in New York City, in the world, and he was referring to 95, 96. Now, first week Reasonable Doubt sales, which came out in 96, Jay-Z sold 43,000 units of Reasonable Doubt the first week. And to put that in some sort of context, Ghostface came out with Iron Man that same year. His first week sales were 156,000. Now, another one, Beats, Rhymes, and Life, Tribe. An album that, you know, it was kind of like their comeback album, but it really didn't reach the pinnacle of where they were. 135,000 units the first week. Nas, As It Was Written, 270,000 units the first week. Busta Rhymes The Comin', 209,000 units the first week.
Oh, you found some numbers, Mike.
I did find some numbers. Foxy Brown, the Il Nana album, 109,000 units the first week. I even went back to 95 because Old Dirty dropped his solo album. That was 81,000 the first week. Only Built for Cuban Links was 130,000 units the first week. Lil' Kim's Hardcore was 80,000 units the first week. We'll go to Busta Rhymes' sophomore album, Disaster Strikes, which was 97, 165,000 units the first week. Reasonable Doubt sold 43,000 units the first week, and he's going to tell you that him and Biggie were the biggest in New York and in the world. It's not the truth. Now, not to say that he didn't become those things, but historically, let's go ahead and look at it in historical context. That wasn't the case in 95, 96, like the picture that was depicted on that phone call. Ray Rims with the super chat, he says he spoke about Nas's mindset on the mic, but they didn't talk about how much of a titan Nas was throughout Biggie's rap career, and that's the truth. And I just went through those numbers. You wouldn't think that Nas, As It Was Written, sold 270,000 units the first week.
No, yes, you should. It was number one on the rap and R&B charts 4 straight weeks during the summer. It was number one on like the charts total. I believe that week it came out at like number 2 or something like on total Billboard charts. Like, it did numbers.
We're keeping in New York. I know people are mentioning Pac, and somebody said something about Volume 2. I'm glad you mentioned Volume 2.
To this 96 conversation. Tupac in this 96 conversation, like numbers-wise and notoriety-wise?
No, we're not even. No, it's not even, doesn't even register. Now, let me do this, too, because I want to be fair. People are mentioning Volume 2. Reasonable Doubt did 43,000 units the first week, right? That's 96. 97, Volume 1, that does 138,000 units the first week, right? Volume 2, which is 98, 350,000 units the first week. That's Jay's biggest album. 350,000 units the first week. Okay, so let's go to 98. DMX. It's Dark and Hell is Hot does 251,000 units the first week. Flesh of My Flesh, same year, 670,000 units the first week. Nas's I Am, 470,000 units the first week. So I Am and Flesh of My Flesh outsold Volume 2 in its first week. And Volume 2 is the big one, right?
very problematic.
So I mean, look, like I told you offline, if somebody would have asked me a trivia question and be like, which album sold more the first week, Volume 2 or I Am? I would have said Volume 2, and I would have been incorrect.
Like I told you offline. Now imagine what the numbers look like on the sales of that album if he doesn't take "Can I Get Up" from Ja Rule.
It's true. Volume 2 is, let's just be real, and this is no disrespect.
And I don't mean the rapper. You can go and take a mil off, as in a million, like record sales off, and take that 5 million down to 4 million.
Well, I mean, you got that. You got Money Ain't a Thing.
Well, no, you got to remember. No. Can I Get It got played on Rush Hour, so it's getting movie love too. That's what I'm saying about that.
See, you know what? That's the trick too, because that's the same thing with Nah Nigga, because Ain't No Nigga was on the Nutty Professor soundtrack.
That's what I mean. So like he like I said, business acumen wise, this guy legendary. He good as it gets. Like as far as like business wise, how his mind works and how to navigate through these shark infested waters that he speaks of. Oh no, he's the best navigator of these waters.
And I mention those things, in context because, again, on the phone call, if somebody wasn't there and wasn't listening to hip-hop in 96 or wasn't even born in hip-hop, they would listen to this phone call and feel like, okay, yeah, Biggie and Jay were running New York in 96. But based on the numbers, and, honestly, that's all we really got to go off on, right? Because the quote is, we were the hottest guys in New York. How do we measure hotness, right? We measure that by numerical sales, I would imagine, in hip-hop, especially during the era where people actually bought music. And based on that, you weren't hotter than Ghostface in 96. You weren't hotter than Tribe in 96. Definitely weren't hotter than Nas in 96. Weren't hotter than Busta in 96. Weren't hotter than Raekwon in 95 or 96 because he brought up 95. Weren't hotter than Foxy Brown, Old Dirty, Lil' Kim. What are we talking about? Mace Harlem World did 175,000 the first week.
Hold on. And so, listen to this. So I'm going to hit you with the other side. Well, if we talking about the streets, Mike, and we talking about the streets of New York, and we not talking about record sales, okay? And it's 95, 96. Correct me if I'm wrong. And, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But didn't the infamous and Hell on Earth come out in 1995
I couldn't find the sales for that, but yes. The infamous was 95 and Hell on Earth was 96. They changed everything.
Who really running the streets?
Yeah. Uncle Fram says, yo, The Rock was selling CDs out of the trunk on Reasonable Doubt. No. You know what? That's cool and stuff, in conversations.
They were
on exactly. Let's not do that.
Didn't give them any promotion. Def Jam is the one that gave them the distribution and the promotion.
No. I hear that, but they were still on priority. And you know who was selling units on priority? Cube. He had no problem selling units on priority. Master P didn't either.
Okay.
And Master P actually had to put up more of his own money than they did. And you educated me, they had an 85-15 deal, not an 80-20 deal. And with that being said, Master P had to put up everything. And this is during the same period. So, no, we're not going to do that.
Hey, I'm the one that told you about the 85-15 with P. You know how I feel about P as a businessman. He is the first guy you should go see and talk to.
And this is all priority. So, it's not like, you know what I'm saying, they were...
Ice Cube's probably top 5 in terms of people you should talk to business-wise. So, yeah.
No, so it wasn't like they were sitting here pressing up these CDs and going out to the trunk and handing them out to people. No, I remember here in Atlanta when I was a kid, they was playing Can't Knock the Hustle down here. They was playing Feeling It down here.
Yes.
And like we said before, Ain't No Nigga was on the Nutty Professor soundtrack. That was everywhere.
I was down here somewhere in 96. Mike, that was the ATLian somewhere where they played ATLians on the radio the whole way through. Like, Ain't No Nigga was making like the top 5 at 5 all the time, consistently. Like,
this wasn't some underground wonder.
Hold on. The original version of Who You With from the Sprung soundtrack was getting played down here.
Well, yeah, that was volume 1, but that was 97. But they were playing that a lot. Because I remember they were playing that Who You With and Lil Jon's Who You With at the same time. Yep.
So, but when he's saying run in New York, well, New York's really, really crowded in 96. And this is why it's arguably the best rap year ever. Well, Foxy and Kim got projects. MOP dropped Firing Squad. Lost Boys dropped Legal Drug Money. Busta Rhymes dropped The Coming. Helter Skelter dropped Nocturnal. Mobb Deep dropped Hell on Earth. De La Soul dropped Stakes is High. J. Rue, the Damager, released his The Wrath of the Math. Nas, of course, with It Was Written. Ghost with Iron Man. No, it's heavy in 96. That's just New York. Like, we can go down to Philly and go over to Jersey, and I can give you some Redman and some Roots classics.
LP says, Steph's great. Yes, he is. Series ain't over, though.
Oh, Lord, my goodness.
No, we're not going to go there because I want to stay on course here. I think we're on something good right now. You know, I say all this to say with these units that were being sold, and somebody said, what about Cash Money? Cash Money was under Universal, so we're talking about Priority right now. And for people who don't know, Reasonable Doubt was actually on Priority Records. And yeah, it wasn't an out the trunk type of deal. You could actually go to a store at any record store in the nation and buy Reasonable Doubt. It wasn't like, you know, you got to go to Brooklyn and go buy it out the trunk from Jay or something. That wasn't the case. But to say all that, the 43,000 units, Iron Man was doing 156,000. And from what I'm seeing in these numbers here, and Tribe doing 135,000, right? Nas is doing 270,000 in that 96 year. So let's just keep it real. Nas is the guy in 96 in New York, right? He did more units than anybody in New York hip hop in 96. So he's the guy.
Yeah. So hold on. Let's just
go ahead.
Let's get 96 hip hop in order, just notoriety wise.
Right.
It goes Tupac, the Fugees, Nas.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what 96 looks like notoriety wise. Like realistically. Like in terms of street buzz, album actually being good, and the actual like everything, the total package. That's the order in 96. Jay's not part of that order. Here's what Reasonable Doubt is. And arguably the greatest year of the 90s, and in what I consider to be still a top 5 hip hop year, maybe a top 3 hip hop year. He made arguably its best rap album. It's just because of how the climate was set up and because of the notoriety of other people, you really didn't hear it. Its classic status really didn't start growing until the year was almost over.
But he said that himself. I mean, he said, I gave you Prophecy on my first joint. Y'all lamed out. Didn't really appreciate it till the second one came out. He said this in 98. So why is the narrative changing now? Like, this was, we was on top of the city. You know what I mean? Like, when this album came out, it's just, like I said, not saying that wouldn't have been the deal if Big would have survived. And in 98, he drops Hard Knock Life. Who knows? But the reality of the situation is him and Big weren't on top of New York in 96. It was just Big and Nas. Like, it's just what it is. And Wu-Tang was over here because clearly everybody on Wu-Tang was doing units. Ghost comes out with his debut and does 156,000. You know what I'm saying? Raekwon does 130,000. These guys aren't even Method Man really at the time. Old Dirty comes out the gate doing 80-something thousand.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, like the Purple Tape in Reasonable Doubt, like numbers wise, like if you're talking like a calendar year, if you would go for like Purple Tape did more numbers. Because I think
Purple Tape dwarfs Reasonable Doubt.
Like a year.
Yeah.
And then like Reasonable Doubt did like 600 in a year. So it's like, but I mean, but that's not to take anything away from Jay. It's just not an accurate depiction of what's going on. I mean, and this is what I mean. If you start filling out the whole conversation, it's like, well, you got AT Aliens, you got The Score, you got Muddy Waters, you got Illadelph Half-Life, you got West Side Connection with Bow Down, you got All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli. Like, not running anything in 95, 96.
I mean, he said this.
Texas by Daylight?
Right. Jay has acknowledged this on multiple occasions where he says, Reasonable Doubt classics. Shoulda went triple, right? Let's not change the narrative. Now, that out the gate it was a struggle, and he even said on this call, it took him to Volume 2 to really find his stride. Which I get what he's saying, but obviously, in my personal opinion, Reasonable Doubt's still his best album. But he was more so probably talking about radio. But even with that being said, We got to get things correct. And it's okay to give Nas his props. It's okay to be like, you know what? In 96, Big and Nas had. 97, I was coming. 98, I was there.
Okay, so let's go to the quality of the music, because here's always been my thing, and I'll be honest with how I'm referencing this. 20 years ago, when I was 20 years old, my top 5 rap albums of all time were Illmatic, Only Built for Cuban Links, Southern Playalistic, Ready to Die, and Reasonable Doubt. I do not love the way that the latter 3 have changed in relationship to the first 2. Not to say that they're still not classics to me or great, but I don't feel the same about Reasonable Doubt and Ready to Die and Southern Playalistic at 40 that I do at 20. And so I say that to say that if Jay made the best rap album in 1996, that's as debatable as it gets for a lot of people, because there are a lot of people that still do feel like It Was Written was better. There are people that prefer Stakes is High. There are people that prefer ATL.
We just talking New York. Oh, okay. I was going to say, because I think All Eyes on Me is probably the one.
I'm about to say, there are people that prefer All Eyes on Me. I told you, my cousin Six prefers Muddy Waters. There are people, don't forget about the score and the impact of the score. The Fugees were bigger than anybody in hip-hop except for Tupac in 96.
Yeah, that's real. LP with the super chat says, Nas 4 straight weeks at #1, first time in hip-hop.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But that was on the hip-hop and R&B charts. Like it wasn't on overall Billboard, but he was the first one rap album to go 4 straight weeks on the hip-hop and R&B charts, 4 straight weeks, correct.
LP with the super chat says, how many beats and features did rappers get that would have went to Big if he was alive? Are we sure that Big doesn't get Hard Not Life or Hate Me Now? I think that's a very interesting conversation. I've never thought about it in that context, because at that point in hip-hop, producers were trying to get the biggest artists their production, right? So imagine the production that Pac and Big may have received that ended up going to other people. Not to mention when you have producers, and Kanye's notorious for this, making a beat with a certain person in mind. You know what I'm saying?
I think that conversation is more fascinating for Tupac than Big, because Big always had access to that. And it seems like when Pac got the Death Row is when those production floodgates opened. It's like, we have beats to match this man's voice. And so I would be more excited to hear like the beat selection from Pac, just because Pac hadn't had the full access to it on set on his first 3 albums, quality and diversity of producer-wise, in my opinion, the way that Big did. Like, Big literally walked in getting tracks from people. Like, I don't think people understand, like Easy Mo B worked with Kane, right? Didn't Easy Mo B work with Kane, right?
I think so. I believe so. Easy Mo B worked with a lot of people.
Right. Mo B already had put in work. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I need to bring up like the whole
Mo B was an OG.
Yeah, Mo B is an OG. You know, I mean, I don't think I have to explain who Primo is when Primo's stepping in. Who's the other guy that's on there? Chucky Thompson.
Thompson? Calvin, not Calvin Brody. It's Carlos Brody.
Carlos Brody. That's what I'm saying. Like, these guys are already certified, like and been in sessions and stuff. You know, one thing that I forgot about, Mike, and this is what I mean. Like, you know, Large Professor in 1 year, like, did Cool G Rap's Wanted Dead or Alive and Eric B. and Rakim's Let the Rhythm Hit.
That's awesome.
Are you
and
sure
you know what? He had to do Let the Rhythm Hit him kind of like under duress too, because the guy that was going to do it got, you know, just murdered.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you know, when we're talking about him, and I know I hate the sidebar like this, it's just one of those things, like in relationship to Pete Rock and Q-Tip and Primo, it's like, are you sure he's not right there with them?
I think that unfortunately, what I would say, and you know, I love Large Professor, and I think he did some of the best work on Illmatic. He's the reason why Illmatic even came together in the way that it did. I just wish that, you know, whatever happened politics-wise in the industry, or maybe not, I just wish that he would have been able to continue on that run that he was on in the early 90s with the people that were, you know, coming through. Because I think that's where Primo separates from a lot of people. He had the Gangstar stuff, and he got all the right placements. And he was in position to work with everybody that was hot, and then he came through when he did it. Like, can you imagine if Large Professor, and I feel like this about Ski Beats too, that's on Reasonable Doubt. Like, I would have loved to have seen them work with Big. Seen him work with, you know what I'm saying, Nas, Jay, all of them, you know what I mean? And Premier worked with everybody. KRS.
Right. So that's the thing. Okay, producers are very akin to coaching and coaches, and so what's been special about Primo is that it's almost like the MCs have bought the A-list MCs have bought their A game to his tracks the
I know where you're
most.
going.
And I don't know how to qualify or quantify that in relationship to is the beat better necessarily, or has he just gotten more placements? I just know when it has happened, it's happened that way.
Well, I think he got the placement, and you know, not to interrupt you, but I want to piggyback off something you said that I think is really good. It is kind of like coaching, right? And I think that Premier would be one of those producers that would be more of like a Popovich or something, or a Bill Belichick, say. Like, you buy into the Premier system. And when you get into that system, you know what you're getting into whenever you get a Premier track.
See, I think it's more like it's more Larry Brown.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I feel
It's
like
not-
Larry Brown did the most with less, though. That's
No, but what I'm saying is that like when you gave him players though, he got the most out of those players. Like Allen Iverson's best with Larry Brown, Rasheed Wallace best with Larry Brown. Like when you gave him that
Chauncey,
player,
yeah.
when you gave him that kind of player, that player played MVP or championship type basketball for him, and it seems like he was the only one that got that out of him. It's like, well, Nas hasn't remade New York State of Mind and Memory Lane and Represent yet, has he? And Unbelievable on Ready to Die is really the mic performance people remember, because it's like when he's talking on You're Nobody Till Somebody Kills You, like with my Sycamore style, more sicker than yours. Like Unbelievable is where that starts to take flight. And even history has shown that it's like, well, that was one of the latter stage recordings on Ready to Die, and you're listening to his phone and delivery on there, and they're like, no, he's bringing out the best in him in a way that these other tracks aren't on here, with the exception of maybe the What and Everyday Struggle.
Clayton is asleep. Says All Eyes on Me and Me Against the World are definitely over Reasonable Doubt, in my opinion.
See, that's what I mean. So even though Reasonable Doubt, I guess in a lot of our minds, is the best rap album of 1996. When you listen, I've always told people this. Well, production-wise, you can't necessarily tell me that it's better than it was written. You can't tell me it's better lyrically either, but it has that feeling to it, and it's his breakthrough album, his best album, and his come-out album. But there's other classic stuff right there with it. Like if you told me that you thought All Eyes on Me was better, I wouldn't argue with you. It was written, Philadelphia Half-Life, Muddy Waters, The Score, ATLiens. There's tons of stuff to pick from in 96, Mike. There's tons of stuff to pick from. Stakes as high as 96, too. I'm thinking, is Riding Dirty 96?
Yep.
Oh,
Tominette says, you got Moment of Truth's numbers, Mike? Yes, I do. Moment of Truth did 97,000 units the first week.
That's nice. You know my steeds.
Mannan says, Large Professor still got fire in the 2000s, 2010s, and recent. Yeah, man, he got fire. I think him and Pete Rock, they stay working. Now, I want to get to this Moment of Truth, which was 98, doing 97,000 units the first week. Now, most people considered Gangstar like the pillar of, I mean, obviously they were on a major, but they had an underground sound, underground vibe. They're not out here being overly commercialized in a promotional manner. They did 97,000. So, and I'm not shitting on Reasonable Doubt. I think it's a great album. But the fact that Reasonable Doubt did 43,000 lets you know that, you know, it all hadn't connected yet publicly, and you can't say that somebody who did 43,000 units the first week is the hottest in New York. You just can't say that. There's nothing to really, unless we're talking about some other shit that's outside of music, we can't really quantify that. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that all this was about music.
Hey, can I sidebar right quick about, since we're having like some sidebar producer conversations about Primo and Moment of Truth right quick. You know, part of what makes Moment of Truth such an undisputed classic on like the next level, like on that nuance level, like you know what you're hearing beat-wise, rhyme-wise, life-wise, is classic. Like JFK to LAX.
Love that record.
Like the life story to that, classic. Betrayal with Scarface, Make 'em Pay with Crumb Snatcher. No. Classic life stuff. Beat stuff, I don't think we even need to question that. Rhyme stuff, a Guru is as best as he ever been. But think about this. It's 1998.
Yeah.
Listen to those tracks. He could have been giving those tracks to Biggie, J, and Nas. Can you imagine Biggie rhyming over You Know My Steez, or Nas rhyming over Royalty, or J rhyming over Work?
I love Royalty, man. I think that Moment of Truth is one of my... Actually, I think it's the best Premier produced albums.
It is.
Yeah. In my personal opinion.
Listen to his... No, what? Beat-wise, that's his best stuff right there. Like, he gave Guru his best stuff. Like, You Know My Steez, because I don't care what people say, like, You Know My Steez, if Biggie's rapping over it, is like having a conversation, like one of those, like, greatest, like, rap, like, it's up there with, like, Who Shot You, like, greatest rap song ever type of, you know what I'm saying?
Well, like, one of the other things that I want to talk about, too, from this phone call from, I think Elliot Wilson was like, holding the phone call and kind of, I guess, being the interviewer or moderator, for lack of a better term. I feel like Tupac got shorted, and I want to get to that in a second. Let me get to Truist, the super chat. He says, "Do Illmatic's numbers in '94 now?" Yeah, we know Illmatic did like what 69,000 the first week or whatever. Something
first of all, Illmatic did paltry numbers this first year too. It sold like 300,000 records, but James bought up 95, 96. Illmatic is 94.
Yeah.
Although I get the Truist trying to like
get his point. Of course, the Truist is always gonna troll. I expect it. LP says Group Home's album is the most wasted production album. Oh,
it's the beat. How about this? Beat wise, that's right there with a Moment of Truth for Primo. But the way that they delivered, and also too, the guest appearances also, of course, helped along Moment of Truth, because like Crumb Snatcher, Scarface, Inspect the Deck, Freddie Fox, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Okay, well, all right, so they were talking about life after death, and I think that they were talking about Biggie's growth, and Diddy said, you know, what he said about just Big being comfortable to that point where that's why he was able to execute in the way that he did. And I think they were bringing up More Money, More Problems and song structure and those things like that, and using the Diana Ross sample or whatever. And Jay made the comment that he said something along the lines that they didn't have song structure at that point in hip hop, and this is why. And you know, and Big was very transformative in that manner. And I'm sitting here like, okay, is somebody gonna give Tupac some props for song structure? Or he brought up the Chronic now. He said, you know, okay, there's the Chronic, but you know, Jay and Dr. Dre have dealings. Are we gonna talk about Doggy Style? Are we gonna talk about Dear Mama? Are we gonna talk about not even just Shed So Many Tears, but I was gonna say Keep Your Head Up? Are we going to talk about these songs? Because these songs came before Life After Death. California Love. Are we going to talk about that? Like, Tupac did a lot when it comes to song structure and groundwork. Not to mention LL Cool J. But if we want to talk about on some street shit, a street rapper being able to make crossover commercialized music in a radio palatable way, Tupac's the guy that did that. And they totally left him out of that conversation.
I think something kind of important happened when Pac did the records on Above the Rim. I think it was the first time that you had really heard like some classic street records that you didn't get a video to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was just like, it's like, no, that's a classic hip hop song. It's like, well, where's the video to it? It's like, he ain't got no video to it. It's like, oh, really? You know?
You talking about Pain? Because there's a video for Pour Out a Little Liquor.
Yeah, but even with, I mean, did that come out? Did it coincide? Because I feel like the song came out and then the video got made.
Yeah, I think so, something like that. But and that was on Thug Life, so you know. But
yeah, because I feel like it came out and then it got made about the demand of it. But I mean, but with Pain and with Pour Out a Little Liquor, because I'm pretty certain the video got made after the record it got dropped. Like, and they seen the. I don't think it was planned for that to be a song. You know, that was released like for video like that. I don't think so.
Let's keep it a buck though. There was song structure. We're gonna forget about Tribe. Like, are we forgetting about the Low End Theory? Can I Kick It? Like, there's song structure in hip hop.
I mean, hold on. I mean,
what are we talking about?
don't we sing Rakim and KRS-One and Cool G Rap and like LL, like, and all these guys praises about their ability to put a song together early on and make it great? Like, I mean, aren't they the ones that really put together the structure of like song? I mean, isn't it disrespectful to them? Like, all
It
those.
is. It is. And, and again, I know people get on these, clubhouses and just start talking. And that's cool that this is like the only way that we're going to be able to get interviews from certain people in hip hop now. But I think when people are on a phone call, they get to talking and just say things. And maybe when they hang up, they're like, man, I shouldn't have said it like that or whatever. Because he even said that, I think Jay said something about, I think Rakim played the clarinet. Rakim played the saxophone. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he knew that. Maybe he's just going off. But that's why we're here, to kind of put these conversations in context so people don't take everything that's just said in a clubhouse conversation as history. New Jam says Talib and High Tech studied Moment of Truth for Train of Thought. I can believe that. And that's interesting. I never thought about that, but I can definitely believe that because I think Train of Thought is brilliant. Tabanet says Diddy is the king of all cap.
I actually listened to Train of Thought this week.
LP, and I'm gonna get to your comments on that too. LP says, was Jay listening to rap in '96? He was older than his peers. He probably wasn't even paying attention because he is tripping. LOL.
No, that's true. Like for real, like Biggie's like 23, 24. Nas is like 21, 22. Pac is 25. Jay's 27.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were listening to Train of Thought?
No, it's just a brilliant record. I can see. I was actually thinking about how you prefer it to Black on both sides. Like you think it's a better album. I can see what you say. Why you say that? Like I feel like it's probably more concise than Black on both sides is. It's just I like the brilliance of most, even when he's riffing and it's not as concise. But I could see why you think that it's better than Black on both sides, which means it deserves very, very high praise.
It's about time with the super chat says, I'm so tired of people leaving Pac out of certain conversations. Like he wasn't one of the biggest hip hop artists with street and crossover records. You know what? I'm going to say this. I think that, and all respect to my New York people, I love New York City, man. I love my folks up there. But I think that sometimes you New Yorkers, and you know that, and I know if my people at Rap Roundtable in the room, they can contest to this. Sometimes New York only sees New York, and anybody outside of New York, they don't even consider. It's like it's all about New York, and anybody outside of those parameters doesn't even count. I think that's what a little bit of this is.
Well, here's another thing that I want people to understand too. Like, so let's go to 94 right quick and understand. And this is what I mean. And I spoke about the dynamics of 96 is the year the money changes. And when I'm talking about the money changing, is that here's what's going on with hip hop, at least on the East Coast. Everybody out west who is big is coming out and is going like platinum, double platinum, triple platinum, quadruple platinum. Like, I want you to understand, like, Pac, before All Eyes on Me, is already a multi-platinum rapper.
Yeah.
Okay? Ice Cube, multi-platinum rapper. Snoop, multi-platinum rapper. Dr. Dre, Easy. Like, you get what I'm saying? You can go down the line. Like, these dudes are going platinum.
NWA.
Hold on, NWA, this is the time when Too Short is going gold or platinum every time he comes out. Mike, like, it's nothing. Every time Short dropping, Short going at least gold, maybe platinum, depending on which album and how people vibe to it. But he's going at least gold. Short going at least gold when he's dropping. All right? Mm-hmm. And so that's how the West is moving. In 1994, like, Ready to Die's first week sales are like akin to Illmatic's and Reasonable Doubt. So in 94, the East Coast still isn't moving like sales and notoriety and pushing the meter on the bigger pulse of the culture-wise in terms of outside the spectrum of hip-hop. That's why it was such a big deal that Ready to Die did 1.5 million. But
you know who changed that, though? Not to interrupt you. Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang had a following global, like they were a New York act that had a global following. And anything that came from that branch, it's kind of like G-Unit and all that before G-Unit. Because when you see, I mean, when I pulled up the Iron Man numbers, I was like, damn, Ghost did 156,000 the first week. of his
Well, no.
debut album.
See, but this is what I'm saying. So in 93 and 94, like the momentum is being built for the numbers that you start seeing. Like in 93, 94, 95, you're not seeing like guys selling 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 units is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
On the East Coast. In 96, that starts happening. Like Nas doing 270. When Nas is talking on Hate Me Now, talking about first rapper to bring a platinum plaque back to the projects, like he's talking from the perspective that it's like literally in about a 4 or 5 week stretch, it was written, went platinum. It's 96. No, Mike, that hadn't happened before that fast. That didn't happen that fast for Big. It definitely didn't happen that fast. Didn't happen for Rakim, Cool G. You get what I'm saying?
And
so
honestly, man, we got to be 100. Like, it wasn't Jay that broke ground for this.
Mm-mm.
If anything, the groundbreakers for this were Wu, Big, and Nas, right?
And so hold on, and let's go to Puff's part to play in this. Ready to Die did 1.5 off the strength of what, Mike?
Remixes. One more chance.
And so understand that Ready to Die, without the remixes, is probably going to go gold like what? Like Reasonable Doubt, like Illmatic, like the Purple Tape. You get what I'm saying?
No,
like,
you're right.
Like Liquid Swords.
Puff is a genius. Straight up.
Puff is a genius. So Puff is a genius, and we get some of the best rap songs ever because he convinced the most versatile rapper ever to be versatile. That's how we got Juicy. That's how we got Big Papa. That's how we got the One More Chance remix. That's how we got Get Money. That's how we got Hypnotized. That's how we got More Money, More Problems.
I want to get to that Get Money remix because
Notorious Thugs. We can always get to the Get Money remix.
Puff said something that I want to get to on that. Marquez with the super chat, man. Appreciate the $20 super chat here. He says, here's what I say about Jay. His consistency put him in number one. That run from 96 to 03 changed people's perspective of him. But that does not mean that he was the best during the time Big, Pac, Nas, DMX, and Big Pun and all of them was outside. And it's real. It's not. I mean, it's literally the definition of revisionist history. Because we're looking at things and how we see Jay-Z. Now, it was not always